Okay, hello, my name is Tony Bousfield. I work for Zoloterra in Chelyabinsk in Russia. Today we are going to look at a very important part of learning English. Phrasal verbs. They're very important to enable people to speak naturally and fluently when speaking English. And I'll speak a little bit more about that later on. Firstly, what is a phrasal verb? Phrasal verbs are a verb and one or more particles. Particles can be either a preposition or an adverb. There are different types of phrasal verbs, but it's not easy to determine from the main verb as to exactly which type of phrasal verb they fall into. So it's not as simple as saying, okay, the verb is take, for example, and therefore it's going to be type 1, type 2, type 3, or even type 4, because sometimes we can split it into 4. So the different types of phrasal verbs, the first one we'll look at is intransitive. This means the phrasal verb has no object. We can give an example using the verb take off. In the past tense, the plane took off. There is no object following the phrasal verb. Second type, transitive, meaning there is an object, and separable. Separable means that the position of the object can be changed, and the phrasal verb can be written in two ways, exactly the same meaning, but the position of the object is moved. So let's give you an example. Switch off your phone with the object at the end of the sentence. Switch your phone off with the object between the verb and the particle. There is no difference in meaning whatsoever, but it's just the position of the object can be moved, and therefore it is separable. A third type, let's choose a different colour, transitive, so it again has an object. Let me put it here. Inseparable. So the position of the object cannot be changed. It must be at the end of the verb and particle. Let's give you an example. Different colour. Please look after my brother. The object must be here. We cannot say, please look my brother after. It's not allowed, it doesn't make sense. So these are three different types of phrasal verbs. One rule that I can give you, which is very important: if the phrasal verb is transitive separable and the object is a pronoun, which is this example: switch it, replacing the phone, the pronoun must be between the verb and the particle. It is a rule. One definite rule. I'll clean the top of the board and move down. Sometimes there are more than one particle, which I mentioned before, and you can put that as number 4, and these are always inseparable. More than one particle. Example: my sister gets on with my brother. This means that they have a good relationship, they're good friends. This is the verb, and we've got two particles. They cannot be separated. They must go together. So it's transitive inseparable, but there are more than one particle here. So we actually can have 3 or 4 different types, but no real rules as to which type they are, simply looking at the main verb. This rule is a rule, the others are just types. Sometimes phrasal verbs are literal. By that I mean that the meaning of the phrasal verb is quite easy to understand. If I said sit down, it's quite easy to understand. But many others have a figurative meaning, and the meaning can simply be worked out from context. It's not always easy, and there are so many that you have to do. My brother takes after my father. It means they have similar characteristics or similar appearance, features. But take after, the meaning is literal. It's not easy to understand simply from the verb and the particle of the meaning. So sometimes literal, sometimes figurative. It's learning to understand the meaning of the phrasal verb from the context. Sometimes phrasal verbs have more than one meaning. Plane took off, take off clothes. So again, different meanings, the same phrasal verb, different meanings, sometimes 2 meanings, sometimes even 3, 4. How do you work out the meaning from the words that are spoken? Context. So it's not always easy, but context should tell you the meaning of the phrasal verb. So why are they important? Primarily because we use them very, very frequently in language, and the most important ones to try and learn are those where it is difficult to say in another way. I'll give you an example. We can, instead of saying carry on, by using the word continue. Continue with your work. But many other ones, there is no real way of saying the phrasal verb in an alternative way. For example, turn off the computer. That is the simplest way of saying turn off the computer. Try saying it in another way and it is actually more complicated. So the most important phrasal verbs to try and learn are those which are used most frequently and cannot be said in a simpler way without using the phrasal verb. How to learn them? Simply try to learn them in context. Don't learn them all the time or all at once. Maybe keep in your vocabulary notebooks in whichever form is easiest for your learning, in groups, maybe by type, maybe by the phrasal verb and the different meanings, but don't learn them all in one go. Just simply try to learn them in context and practice saying them in context and learn them and speak using them naturally. We'll learn more about phrasal verbs later on, but that'll be all for now.